Hello everybody, it's Mr. Burgess here, and today we're going to talk about pi. And no, I don't mean this kind of pi, not that kind of pi, but pi. Pi is a mathematical term, and if you ask my daughter, she would say pi is equal to 3.14, Dad. Everybody knows that. Well, maybe not everybody, but pi is often given a symbol. So the symbol kind of looks like an H with a little hat on top. It looks like this right here. That's the symbol for pi. And mathematicians like symbols. So you're going to see that in your text and things like that. Okay, the challenge for today is I'm going to ask you to find pi. And let's take a little closer look and see, well, what does that mean? For a long time, people have been messing around with circles. And they noticed this weird relationship that as a circle shrinks or as a circle gets bigger, there's two things that change with the changing size of circles. So the first thing is the circumference. The circumference is just that. It is the distance around the circle. That is the circumference. Right? If you were to walk around the circle, it's the distance all the way around. The word circumference almost has the word circle in it. That's how I remember which is which. Circumference and circle. Okay? Circumference, the distance around the circle. The diameter is the distance across the circle, but it has to go through the center. It can't be like the distance like this. No, that's not right. It has to pass right through. I'm going to try to draw a straight line. Oh, I didn't quite get it, but you get the idea. It's the distance across the circle passing through the center, and it can be any line that touches, straight line that passes through the center of the circle is the diameter. And the way I help remember that is that it's the distance across the circle. Okay. So we know those couple things. Well, if we rewind the clock, about 4,000 years ago, it turns out that people have been obsessed with this relationship, this idea of pi. For a long time, they were trying to build all sorts of interesting shapes, figures, monuments. If we go back to the Babylonians, this is like 4,000 years ago now. They actually figured out that pi is 3. Well, what does that mean? Well, they've determined that the distance around the circle, the circumference, is 3 times larger than the diameter. In other words, if I were to take this circle and shrink it, the distance around that circle is 3 times larger than the distance across the circle. And no matter how much bigger I make the circle, if I make it larger, the distance around it is still 3 times the distance across that circle. But along came the Egyptians, and we're going back to about 3,000 years ago now, and they said, no, pi is not 3. Pi is not exactly 3. It's a little bit more than 3. It's 3.1605. And that's getting closer to today's accepted value, which is about 3.14. Okay? Then along came the Greeks and this physics wizard named Archimedes. We're going back about 2,500 years ago. And he was able to calculate pi to several places pretty accurately, 3.1418. Okay? Now, if you're curious, you can look up pi online to like a million places and spend, I don't know, 10 minutes scrolling through the decimal numbers that come at the end of pi. Like I said, people get pretty obsessed with this stuff, but we can let's just say that pi is equal to 3.14. For our purposes, this is enough. And you're going to see this symbol here time and time again. Okay? There's a bunch of different calculations that you can do that involve circles, circumference, diameter, and this other term known as the radius. Now, some of you have probably heard of this, but if I draw a line from the center to the edge of a circle, that is the radius. Okay? Radius is that distance right there. Now you can notice that if I take one radius and then I draw another radius, I now have a diameter. So the diameter is actually just 2 radiuses side by side that pass through the center of the circle. Okay. Let's take a minute and we'll just record some of these. We'll take a look at some of these formulas that are important with this. So I'm just going to move these guys out of the way. It's a bit confusing when you see them all at once. and I'll just slide them out of the way. Okay, here we go. So the circumference of a circle is always equal to pi times the diameter. Now, when you see math formulas, you'll often see them abbreviated. So we can take the word circumference and let's just call it C. Circumference is C. Equals pi, which is 3.14. Okay, it's that mathematical relationship, times the diameter. So if you know the diameter and you times it by 3.14, you can find the circumference. Okay? But what if you know the diameter, but you don't know the circumference? So sometimes they'll kind of give you one piece of information and not the other. So if you need to find the diameter, and you already know the circumference, you can take the circumference and divide it by 3.14. And if we're to kind of abbreviate that, diameter is given a little d. The C is capital on purpose. Circumference is always given a capital C in math, and the diameter has a little d. So diameter would be equal to the circumference divided by 3.14. On the trickier questions, they may not give you the diameter. They might just give you the radius. And so if you were trying to find the radius, if you were given the radius and you were trying to find the diameter, you would just have to take that radius and multiply it by 2, because we know that one radius tacked on to the end of another radius is the diameter. Okay? And abbreviated, it's d equals r times 2. And they might go the other way around. They might ask you to find the radius and only give you the diameter. Remember, the diameter is twice as long as a radius, so if you are looking for the radius, you can take the diameter and divide it by 2. So radius equals diameter divided by 2. And these formulas, these 4 formulas here, will help you find all of the information that you would ever want to know pretty much about circles: the circumference, the diameter, and the radius. I hope this video helps you with their next task, which is to find pi. That will be your challenge. Thank you for watching.